Gently begin to bring yourselves out of the meditation, observing how the breath shifts as your attention shifts from inward to more external. And we'll return to our blessing of the Pranayama, the Pranavayu and Apanavayu, doing call or response. Om Namo Pranaya. Om Namo Pranaya. Pranaya Nama Om. Pranaya Nama Om. Om Pranaya Svaha. Om Pranaya Svaha. Om Namo Apanaya. Namo Apanaya. Apanaya Nama Om. Apanaya Nama Om. Om Apanaya Svaha. Om Apanaya Svaha. Svaha. Hari Om. Hari Om. Coming onto your belly. Placing your forearms on the floor, palms down. And as you inhale and lift the chest, press into the arms and lift up and puff your chest out in Bhujangasana. Now, begin to lift the legs and notice as you elevate the legs in order to maintain a sense of balance of the scales, upper body to lower body, you must actually drop some of that puff and relinquish some of that power in order for the legs to come higher and to be of equal height as your chest and head. Holding there that sense of equanimity, and then release down. And again, lift and give it your all, push into the floor, go as high as you can. And then begin to lift off the floor. Notice that though there's compression, there's not spaciousness. In order for there to be an even and equal extension in the spine, the elbows have to bend, the arms have to soften in order for the legs to lift. This is how it is. We have to give up some of what we have to accommodate and make space for others. And release down. And one more time, pushing into the floor and extending the arms, and feel the almost aggressiveness of the action, and that it is impossible for most of us, right, to get any lift of the legs without compromise, without collaboration, without relinquishing some of that strength, power, fortitude, ego. And release down. And then coming back up onto the knees for Vajrasana. And we'll return to the mudra and the mantra. Hands to the forehead, dedication in mind. Om Namaha. Inhale and sweep the arms out and bring the hands to the heart. So we're going to go back in to our work with the breath, and we're going to be building on what we started last week with the work of exploring the movement of the diaphragm through the back, through the sides, and also working with more ratio, moving in the direction of Uddiyana Bandha, which is where we'll be how we'll be moving in towards the culmination of the practice. So we've done a lot of practices with short breath holds, like short breath holds in movement, short breath holds with a little bit of sway. I'd like you to consider, as we are working with the breath holding portions of the practice, that put it in that frame of reference. You're moving and doing breath holds. And one of the things you may recall when you're doing a series of short breath holds is that the call is always to pause and do some recovery breaths in between. So I'm just stating that up front. I'll mention it and give you permission and just remind you to pause when you are starting to feel like, okay, that was intense, let the breath settle, and then go back in and do the next round. However, you may even feel a need to do that more often. And so listening to your own body on that. And it's never about pushing and pushing and pushing. If you have that feeling as if you were just kind of walking briskly up a hill, everybody's done that and survived, brisk walk up the hill. So it's that feeling. And then you're just going to settle, stop the movement, take a moment, pause, bring the breath down, and then go back in. You never want to go to the point where you feel like you're like, your whole system is getting very Bhujangasana, or that you're going to move into a gasp. Your left foot in. We're going to actually work with a progressive exploration of moving in and out of Arda Chandrasana. And I'm going to invite you to not try and go up and stay initially, but to move into and out of the pose, progressively moving your hand a little further, progressively staying a little longer, progressively unfolding, and again, taking up as much space as you can, right? So start small, in close, maybe just a little raise of the leg and then touching down. Can you feel in control of the flow of the movements of your balance as you move in and out. Think of this less as being, quote unquote, in the pose, as that the whole process is the pose. How do you get there? How do you return back? How masterful can you be of your movement, of your breath, of your body? Exploring, moving in and moving out. Continue with your own exploration on this side. And then when you feel like you've warmed yourself up and you would like to stay, then explore being in the pose as a means of expressing that potential within you. Can you even manage to take your fingertips off the block or off the floor and just stay in this open balance? And then can you return with some control back to land the back foot down, return to center, feet parallel, pause, settle, feel. And then turning the left leg out and preparing yourself for the Arda Chandrasana half moon exploration on this side. Starting small so that you feel you can land that back foot gently, right? Noticing how it is on this side. A little more stable, a little more wobble. What's your truth? Moving in and moving out. Being with what is, not judging, assessing, which is different than judging, right? Do you need the block to be a little higher, a little closer, a little lower, a little farther out? Is the block too much, too little? Right? Continue to explore, finding that edge where you can sustain eventually the pose, right? Coming in and sustaining the pose and then exploring being there. Lifting off, if that feels exciting and interesting to you. And carefully, consciously bringing yourself back down and back up to the I am here pose. Breathing into it, claiming your real estate.